Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. I am Tony. I'm your host of this amazing podcast. And before we get started, I need to let you know that this is for educational purposes only. And today we have another amazing guest for you guys, and his name is Dwight Miller. He is a transformational coach and professional healer. And now, before we get started with that, if this is your first time tuning in, do me a favor, go to that YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time we upload a new episode. And if you enjoy these sort of conversations, please leave a comment, ask some questions. And if you know anyone else that could benefit from these conversations that we're having, please share it with them. And now, without further ado, I'm going to bring up my main man, Dwight, and you guys sit back, ask some questions if you guys want to, and enjoy. Dwight.
Hello, Tony. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here and be of service and just share. Be real.
Yes, man. We're going to have a great conversation. But before we get started, introduce yourself and tell people where you're from.
Okay. I spent my whole life in Phoenix. I live in Asheville, North Carolina now, the last couple of years. I'm very excited to get out of the heat and into the mountains and forest and in nature. I'm an author. I've got 5 books on Amazon. The most recent is The Formula for Lasting Happiness. I literally woke up one morning and kind of knew I needed to write that book. The book before that is called A Soul's Perspective, How to Finally Heal and Transform Your Life. So I'm really interested in helping people. I know Earth is not always the easiest place to be, and the world is crazier than it's ever been. And a lot of people are struggling. And this is a time of year, too, when a lot of people really struggle.
This is very, very true. So, you want to start off? You want to do some meditation? You want to get that? Hey, man, I'm in your word today. So let's start the journey off the way that you would like to.
Okay. Well, this will be fun. I like being put on the spot because I don't plan anything, right? Whatever happens, happens.
This is very true.
I'll give us a little background. Like, we're kind of in a mental society, right? We're talking about it. It's all thought. It's all mental. We go to school. We have all these things shoved into our brains. Well, on my journey, Tony, at some point I realized the conscious mind is only 5% compared to 95% subconscious, right? Mm-hmm. And then you've got these mental aspects like our identities and our mindset. And I know you, with your journey, you've had a lot of experience in all these different categories, and we're so hard on ourselves, right?
Yes.
And what I've found in my healing journey and just the journey overall is the heart is way more powerful than the mind, right?
Very true. These
football players on Sunday today, they don't think, themselves into motivation and changing their life. And, there's people, right, in a traumatic situation. There's women who have lifted cars off their children, right? So we have these incredible powers. And if you ask the mind, like, could I lift the car? The mind says, nope. You could barely lift your groceries. Right? The same like, can I lose 50 pounds? Mine says, nope, you've tried 1,000,000 times and you failed, or you lose it and you gain it right back. Okay.
Right.
So what I like to do is I like to circumvent this mind that has kind of been trained to be a little negative. And it came from our parents or our society, and we're just so hard on ourselves instead of loving ourselves. Like every other animal on this planet, they're not killing themselves every day and doubting themselves. When we were 3 years old, we didn't doubt or question ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We just got up and we were us. I was Dwight and you were Tony, and we were probably happy, right?
Yes.
So we've collected all these things along the way, and now most of us in experience are not happy. And this is what I help people with. And tonight we're going to share some healing experience. And this is one way I show people, or the universe shows us, how powerful we really are. Because Sometimes pain can vanish if your audience is experiencing grief or depression or even has any aches or pains. They'll probably feel an improvement today. And the mind will be like, what the hell just happened? Like, all I did was I listened to this guy, Dwight, and sometimes people just talk to me and they feel different. Right? It's just
Yes.
energy. Everything is energy. Like you and my brief interaction with you, I know that you're loved, man. You've been humbled. You've been real, right? Your life experiences have taught you that whatever happens, that just happened. You're still you, and you can still be loved and have purpose and find joy in life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But
And
I realized throughout life, um, being from a negative place and being in the place I am now, that it's all a matter of choice, right? Emotions. So when we think about emotions, a lot of people don't understand that your emotions are yours. You have the ability to feel extreme sadness, or you have the choice to feel these things, right? But if you choose to say, okay, I know that this is a sad moment, but let me see what a positive line is, right? So, and we talked about this before. I began to piece my days into moments. So, say for instance, I say, you never have a bad day. You have challenging moments throughout your day. They're never bad moments. It's your perception of how you carry it into the next moment. But if you look at the moment that's challenging, and that's the word, challenging, there's usually a lesson inside of it. So if you could train the mind when those challenges come to say, I wonder what I can learn from this, and be able to sit within that moment without going further, without dwelling on the past, but in that present moment, take the information from it. And when it's done, take a deep breath, relax, let it go away like the wind, because now you cannot change what has happened. You can only take the information and extract and go into the next moment. Have the mindset of, who do I need to give this lesson to that I have just learned? And what you will find that throughout those days, throughout your day, with those moments, the information that you extract, someone else comes along in a similar situation that you have just now accepted, and you can go, wow, this is not mine. I'm a carrier of this information. This is yours. Here you go. Right? Take a deep breath, move into the next moment. So you chunk your days up into moments, or your day up into moments like that. And a majority of the time, depending on the individual and the way their mindset is, if they can reset it to a positive way, to see it for what it is and not for what you want it to be, right? Perception is reality. You will find that you never have bad days. You never have bad days. And you come out of your one day into the next day a little bit more lighter, or a lot more lighter, um, a lot more relaxed, and a lot more knowledgeable from the day before.
you articulate that so beautifully, man. And
Thank you.
what you're describing, I refer to as like when I'm teaching that, right? And it all starts with awareness. So you've had the experiences, right? And there's that spiritual concept that life is always mirroring to us that which we need to see in ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you have this perspective, is what is it teaching me in every experience? If I'm learning from it, I'm becoming something better than I was before, right?
Right.
And then it all starts with awareness, and then you're kind of in your power. So you have a beautiful mindset too.
Thank
So
you.
what I help people with, for example, with trauma or any life experience, right? Trauma is another label, and
Mm-hmm.
trauma is a kind of a heavy label. All that really matters is how you felt at the time, and did it impact you, right?
Yes. Yes.
Forget all the labels, forget all the experiences. So when I'm with people, a lot of us are still hanging on, maybe emotionally or energetic, or maybe we formed some beliefs or thought some things at the time about ourselves. Maybe we judged ourselves at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these things were as children, right? That imprinted us. Psychology tells us everything up till the age of 7 or 8 really leaves a significant imprint on our subconscious and our behavior and how we think and perceive the world.
Right.
Okay. So let's take grief and as an example. We had an experience and it really sucked. I mean, we're talking like the ultimate suck, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, this loss and heartbreak and some of it, right? In your case, it's shocking. It's just shocking. You never conceived that that could happen to your son, right? But is it happening right now, right? And it's not. It's something that happened in the past. So if you take a perspective, like you do not have to relive anything. It's just an old experience, a memory. The energy is old. There were some emotions that imprinted on us at the time. And I like to say, instead of grief, let's just give the energy different flavors and make it lighter. It could be cherry or lemon or lime or grape. Or if it's something you don't like, in my case, it might be black licorice. That's just the weirdest flavor.
No, I know that feeling.
Like people eat this stuff like it's candy. This stuff is nasty. Right?
Oh my God, no. No.
That's hilarious. We have that in common. Okay.
Oh.
So again, the conscious mind, it limits us as to what we believe is possible. So when I'm with the client or with your group, I'm just going to say, would you like to play a little bit, Tony? Okay.
Yes.
And let's imagine, because when we play and imagine, this doesn't have to come in and protect us or say it's not possible, because we're literally just playing and imagining, right?
Right. Right.
So if you can scan your body and find some energy, a feeling that might be a little stuck, might be a little resistance, whether it's grief or depression or something. And some of you may be aware of an experience that you still have some emotional energy you're hanging on to. Okay. We're just going to go in, we're going to play and imagine a little bit. If you can feel it in your body, I want you to imagine it has a shape. And Tony, can you feel anything in your body?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Well, and the reason being is I'm just open, right? Like
That's good.
there's no specific emotion or feeling. I am just within the moment with you in it right here. So I am taking it in, and whatever, like you said, whatever comes, right? So
Yep.
right now I am open to receive whatever's coming to me.
Okay. So there's a couple ways I teach everyone to play. Okay. So some of the folks out there, you're feeling something in your body. Okay. And it's just energy. It's just flavors. I want you to imagine it has a shape. And the weirder, less common, the better. I've had people pull red and white hula hoops out. I mean, all kinds of objects, right? So just give it a shape. And then I'll say, what color is it? And everyone can give it a color. And then is it hot or is it cold or is it warm? Is it smooth or rough or spiky on the texture? And is it like shiny or dull, like matte or glossy? Okay. And I'll say, now on the count of 3, we're going to reach in and pull this out. Imagine you have energetic fingers or you have something attached to it. We're just going to pull it out. We don't have to figure it out. 1, 2, 3, pull it out. Boom.
There it is.
I've had people that have had chronic pain for years, and then it's gone with something that basic and simple. Okay.
I love that.
Sometimes it'll move and then you just give it another shape, another color, texture, shiny or dull, and you pull that out. Usually by 2, it's gone, but it is so simple and so powerful because This is how powerful we are, Tony.
Yes. And when you said that, and I said I was open to it, and you said, "Give it." Is it smooth or if it's rough? I started imagining a palm tree, right?
Mm.
And the texture of it, like if you feel it, is a little bit of rough, right? But it's warm. And it was the green with the brown color to it, and there was a sense of peace that came with that, right? And as
And
you
that,
can tell, I'm smiling. It put me in a place to where, and I know it's going to sound cliche, but I imagine being on a beach somewhere on an island, sitting under this palm tree, enjoying the sun and the nice cool breeze across my face. So with the warmth, with the coolness and everything, and my body just went woo. It totally just released everything. I was like, I like that. Does it have a smell? Yes, it smells like seawater.
there you go. I'd sometimes ask smell. I mean, smells can get a little weird or
But
unpleasant,
that was what I got
but
though. It was the
yeah,
seawater, right? And
yeah.
if you've been to the ocean and everything, on a nice sunny day, right, on a hot day, especially, um, if you somewhere humid and you by the ocean, when you go there, the water is splashing up on the shore, and you're sitting back in the sand, you're enjoying the sun, you're enjoying the breeze from the ocean, and you get that whiff of that salt water, right? But it's a sort of smell, especially if you're around. And I've been around palm trees on the beach as well. But you get that smell of the tree, right? The
Hmm.
coconuts sitting on it. So it can be a mixture of smells, but it's something. I mean, and everybody's going to imagine something different. But this is what I imagine, and that smell brought me to a place to where I was simply at peace.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I can relate to all the descriptions, and I love how descriptive you are. Like I said, I spent my whole life in Phoenix, right?
Hmm.
So in the summer, you get the heck out of Phoenix. I always said, any money in their pocket gets the heck out of Phoenix because it's
Oh yeah.
115 degrees and it's insane, right? So
Yes.
we went to the beach, right? And it's like just the feel of the air on my skin, right? It's like, oh my God, there's moisture in the air and the saltiness,
Yes.
it permeates the environment. And that is a relaxing thing. I think probably just about everyone feels relaxed when they're at the beach, right? And in nature like that. So that's beautiful. One of the simple examples I like to give people is, you may know someone who, when they feel stressed, they get tight neck or shoulder muscles, right?
Hmm.
And this is the most basic example of how we feel our emotions and that affects the body. Okay.
Right.
So if we have the power to do that, we have the power to find that peace and ease, and the body relaxes. Now, if you take like a traumatic or strong emotional experience, in a lot of cases, that is affecting the body.
Hmm.
And some of our audience, when they had one of those rough emotional experiences, not long after that, they may have started having physical health challenges, right? And in our society, we do not link the two. In my case, I had my wife was pregnant. Okay. I found out 3 weeks after we separated. This is wife number two, by the way. And we weren't able to work it out. And I had three girls at the time. So I was really anchored in Phoenix. And my old neighbor called me and told me that my wife had moved. My pregnant wife had moved. And I had no idea, Tony. So I went through all this emotional trauma, I'll call it, very strong negative emotions, right?
Right.
Basically, my son was taken from me. Okay. And
Hmm.
I identified as father at the time because my girls were about 6, 11, and 12 were their ages approximately. So it was really difficult for me. And I manifested an experience that gave me sciatica 24/7. So my emotional suffering became physical suffering 24/7. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
And what people experience when I work with them is when they're able to shift the energy, the body shifts. Sometimes it's like that, like you experience the feeling. And sometimes maybe it takes a day or 2 days.
Right.
But again, this is how powerful we are. And when you get to where you're at in life and you have the mindset and you're not kind of emotionally attaching to these experiences, and we do feel, right? We're going to feel.
Yeah.
And we want to feel because that's feeling alive, right? You got to participate to really play and experience the game, right? But we're supposed to have an experience it, learn from it, feel it. And then we're supposed to take that golden nugget, like you've learned to do, and move on to bigger and better things and let any of the energy that we wouldn't want to hang on to, we can just let that go.
Right.
But no one
And I
teaches us how to do
no,
that.
exactly. And there should be people out there guiding people on how to do these things. I learned on my own. And as we talked about, as you were saying, it was one of those things that just kind of made sense to me, right? And once I got into this work, doing grief work and working with men, and I used to try to work with women as well, but I realized that trauma bonding, that's how I found out about trauma bonding and things like that, the emotional aspect of, you know, um, being in a vulnerable space with a female counterpart. There's, sometimes it can be misconstrued. So instead of putting myself in a situation to where I have to tell the female counterpart, hey, no, because to them it's going to feel like rejection. Then they come in feeling a lot worse than what they did, right? And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I always want to respect them. I always want to make sure that they feel comfortable, and make sure that they're being validated in what they're feeling. So the part about being emotionally detached, I learned how to do that after my first encounter, um, of sitting with a male, and I realized that no matter the situation, they're still sharing a vulnerable part of themselves with me. And if I allow myself emotionally to go on that journey with them, then I can intend, what I'm saying, get back into my own grief and have to take those steps again in order to become the person that I am. So I've learned how to emotionally detach myself from the situation, carry what I need to carry with me, release it back into the universe, and let it come back to them the way that it needs to come back. So instead of being emotionally attached to it, I just became a carrier of it. So to relieve them carrying the burden of themselves. Because that's the whole purpose of coming to me. I want you to release that to me. I want you to take that burden off, talk to me, pour it into me, and I'm going to take it out. I'm going to put it out into the world, and however it comes back to you, it is yours without the heaviness. So that's how I learned how to do that. I was like, these people are coming to me because they need someone to validate and see who they are. They're not coming to me because for my experience. They're coming to me for the knowledge. So it's the same thing. When I train people, I have to tell them your experience, your emotions has no place in this conversation, right? They're coming to you because you have the lived experience. They want to know what you did, the tools, the knowledge that you've extracted from it. All the rest of it they don't care about, because as soon as you start sharing yours, and this is just the way I figured it out. As soon as you begin to share your story and you begin your story, I, that word I immediately it separates YouTube, because now it becomes a comparison. And so, and that's what I mean. I had to learn that. And then once I figured that part out, I was like, in order for me to be more effective in this environment of my gift, I have to be able to distinguish between when it's appropriate and when it's not appropriate. So yeah, unfortunately, it carries over into my personal life as well. And so there are certain situations I'm like, this ain't even worth me feeling. I'm like, I'm not about to do that. And yeah, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going through this. It sucks to be you, but yeah.
Well, it's like if it's the mirror, right? Do you take anything personally anymore?
No,
Right.
that's the beautiful part about it, right? I've learned through life, through my experiences, through the trauma, the loss, and things like that, and having to go from A to Z and then go back from Z to A and take the time to actually understand the A through Z. I realize that people are people. You cannot change who they are. You cannot change what they're going to say. Most people that say things to you are trying to relate to you the best way that they know how. So it's not personal. It's not personal, right? Now, breakups, same thing. You may break up, you may separate, and things like that. It's not personal. Now, if you're a piece of crap person and you treat that person badly, then yes, this is what happens. But maybe the individual is mentally ill, right? And maybe that's not a good fit for you. Okay, it's not personal. It is not personal. Nothing in this life is worth taking personal, because when you start to take it personal, there's an emotional attachment to it that will make you angry. And if it makes you angry, that means you have to go back and look in the mirror and ask yourself, and here's the truthful part: you're angry because there's some sort of truth to it.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
no, I don't take things personal in this life anymore. I can accept things for what they are. I can accept people for who they are. The biggest thing is that when a person, so say for instance, if a person is a thief, right? And I leave something around that individual. If I know this person is a thief, do I expect him not to do thieving things? No. I expect him to do exactly who he is, because authentically that is who he is. I can accept that a lot more than someone saying, "Oh man, I'm not a thief," and then as soon as I leave something around them, they take it. Now I'm still not going to take it personal. I'm not even going to be disappointed because I have no expectations. I just look at it and go, "Oh, lesson well learned. Now I know what to expect when it comes down to certain individuals." So the more authentic a person is with me, the more I can accept them for who they are. But even if they prove me wrong to be less than or more than who they are, remember, I have no expectations. So there's no room for disappointment with me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful said. And I think, right, ultimately unconditional love, it's seeing people as they are and accepting them as they are, right? And
Exactly.
they are what they are.
This is true.
Right.
This is very, very true.
I like to say, have you ever tried to make someone else happy, Tony?
Um, Not anymore.
Because it does it work?
No. Well, look at it this way, right? It is not your responsibility to make someone else happy. That is totally on them. You either going to be happy with your life or you're not going to be happy with your life. And if you're not happy with your life, it is your responsibility to do the things that can make you happy in this life. When you become dependent on other people to make you happy, you now relinquish a part of you that you may never recover, because you give someone else control over the way you feel, the way you act, and the way you think. That's a destructive role because now you are not a free thinker in this world. Every thought, everything that you do is based around what the next person has told you. That you become dependent on that individual for validation. And I refuse to allow another person that much control over me. So no, I do not. I do not try to make other people happy. I will give them what I can because I would love to see them in a better place than when I found them.
Right. It all starts with awareness, right?
It
What
all
is this
starts with
teaching me?
awareness.
What am I supposed to learn from this? Right.
Hmm.
Um, does this remind? Is this showing me this like in your anger example? Is there anger in me I haven't dealt with yet? Right. And it's that perspective. Then you just give them a couple tools. When they have the awareness, they know how to deal with it. Now they're in their power, right? Because you're taking responsibility for yourself.
Right, right.
You're looking within and you've got the tools to take care of it. Now you're a fully empowered, I like to say, divine spiritual being. But we have no idea how powerful we are because we've kind of been trained to use our power negatively against us, right?
Hmm.
With all our negative thoughts and self judgments. And I like how you say expectations because we've all been kind of ingrained or programmed with certain expectations, right? From our
Yeah.
parents or from society, right? I need to get a good education. I need to go to college. I need to get a nice car. I need to have a big house. I need to get married. I need to have 2.2 children, right? And where does that come from, right? Like Vision Lakiani, the Mind Valley co-founder, he calls those rules, which is bullshit rules. And every society has the different, right, expectations or rules, right? And at some point in my own life, I realized I was miserable trying to follow that paradigm,
Hmm.
and I threw it all in the garbage, right? And that's when I decided to follow my heart. And that's really when I began to live my purpose and really find what made me happy and do what made me happy, right?
This is true. I do enjoy it. I do enjoy these comments that come up. You know, I guess if you look at it from a perspective of it's only a matter of time till we realize that we're all sick. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess that is the very destructive way. And yes, I am bringing this comment up because I found it very funny. Because that's a matter of perception, right? You know what I'm saying? Your sickness is your sickness. It's nobody else's, and someone else's sickness is going to be their sickness. But it's a matter of perception. How do you perceive life? If that's the way you perceive life, you will continue to get the things that you get, right? And if that's the way that you see people, then that's the way that you're going to perceive people. There's no right or wrong, right? There's no falseness, there's no truth to it. Your truth is your perception. And that's okay. If that's what you would like to do, if that's the way that you would like to look at people and things like that, it's totally fine with me. I don't care one way or another. Again, it's not my responsibility to change your mind. The rules and things like that of this world, when you enter to a stage like most of us that have ventured off into the conscious and unconscious world, right? We realize that the laws of physics no longer apply to us because we've allowed ourselves to go to a place to where we can get better understanding, enlightenment, and peace. We bring it back to ourselves. Now, if a next person that we touch and we can share that with them and they can take it away and advance their own thinking, that makes us more authentically who we are. And I love that perception because I am not bound by what others think of me. Um, who some there's a quote and I think I was listening to the 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 um, the monk guy. I can't remember his name, um, but Shetty, Shetty. I can't
Okay.
remember his name, but it's Shetty, right? He
Jay
said
Shetty.
that Jay Shetty. Yes, yes, Jay Shetty.
Yep.
And he said something of a quote that he heard from another monk. And tell me what you think about this. He goes, the monk told him, I am not what you think I am. I am not what I think I am, but I am what you think that I am. So simply put, and I go back to doing this, and it's so simple that it blow your mind because if a person doesn't ever think about it, right? You know what I'm saying, and think about the depthness and the simplicity of it, and its intertwinings. Perception is your key to your reality. You know what I'm saying? He just said it in a roundabout way to where it was like, whoa, if I sat down and thought about this, I would, I would, I would, I would go crazy just trying to figure that little bit out, right? You know what I'm saying? But of course, it depends on the individual. It depends on what you want out of this life. And how far are you willing to open your mind to accept the reality is false? And you create it as you go. So your peace is your peace. That's the only thing that, how do you feel inside of here? Are you taking the steps to deal with the things that you have to heal from in order to become a better version of yourself? Are you asking the universe or God, whatever, I don't care, right? Are you asking them for wisdom and understanding? Are you asking them to, go, as you're going through these things, to help develop the tools that you need? Or are you surrendering and seeing it from a very different perspective? And then let that become the reflection of who you
Yeah, you go deep, man. I love it.
are.
And like, it's really fascinating, right? Because we're old dogs, right? We've been around the block a couple times. I don't see things the same way that I did when I was 20 or when I was 30 or when I was 40, right? And the thing itself, has it changed whatever I perceive happened? No, right? So if you want to change your life, right, it's about the awareness. It's about being able to see things from new perspectives.
Right.
And when you really start to go into there and explore and you think, well, why do I perceive it this way? It's because of your previous experience, or maybe it's your mom or dad had a certain opinion and you said, okay, that's the way I'm going to see it too, right? Because you didn't know anything better, right? And you're a little
It's very
sponge,
true.
you're a kid. So you see people, they grow up and they marry their parents, and they experience a lot of the lessons from childhood that they haven't resolved yet, right? And this
Right.
is the way life says, Dwight, look, you haven't figured this out yet. When are you going to get it? You see patterns, right? And
Right.
that's all about when you start to question everything, right?
Mhm.
Like, what is this showing me? Why do I perceive this as I perceive it, right? Because let's just say we saw X event, right? An eyewitness testimony is not reliable in court because everyone sees something different happen, right? To your
Very
point.
true.
So
Very true.
there's 7 billion people on the planet. We're all in our own reality,
Mhm.
right? And we've all had, this is where the subconscious programming comes in. It's not even conscious. It's not that I choose to label and perceive it in a certain way. I'm doing it automatically. Like there's this literally a filter, right?
Mhm. Yes.
So when you start to question everything and like you've gotten to a point where you just observe it.
Yes.
This is what it is. And you're not assigning any labels, any whatevers, any judgments. It is what it is. Now, what am I going to choose to do with this?
Right, right.
What is in this for me, right? And also questioning, when you talk about consciousness, it's about the questions. Because when you ask a question like, what is this showing me? The monkey mind, we're bypassing that limited circuit, right? It doesn't have the answer. It's like, who am I? The monkey mind's like, what do you mean, who am I? Right? But we are so much greater than what we've experienced or perceived we are. And when you're just witnessing the experience, right, you are in this place of peace. You're not attached to it because you have no expectations and you're just witnessing it. And I don't know, I guess in my life, I kind of have a positive expectation because I can learn to see the beauty in it, right? Because you can say there's no positive and negative, but if you view it like that, I can look at it and say everything is positive. It's showing me something, or I'm enjoying it, or whatever, right? It's just different flavors.
Mm-hmm. And I totally agree. Okay, so it's not like I disagree with it. I mean, everything in this world has a meaning. It has a shape. It has um, essence to it. It has a lesson that goes along with it. You know, and I love it because mindset is everything when you're in this world. You know what I'm saying? You can perceive it in one way, you know what I'm saying, or another way, depending on the individual and what you're trying to get out of it, right? So what I found that when I experience um, deep loss, you know, the loss of my son, I did perceive this world in a very, very negative way. Very, very negative. I was done fighting. It felt like I had been fighting my whole entire life. And I was tired. I was tired of people being taken away from me. And I did want to give up. And I came really close to doing it. I had lost everything. My perception was my reality. I didn't see the positive in it because it's kind of hard to see the positive when you just lost the one thing in your world that you were pouring everything into, that was supposed to be your all, right? Your heart, your everything, right? And
Yeah.
I don't wish that sort of pain on anyone, but that pain, if I could describe it, is so deep and profound that it will change your perception in this world. It does. Now, when my mother passed away, it added on to it. So here I am. I am now a pounding mess of pain. Mess, full of trauma, full of hurt, full of disappointment, full of everything that you can freaking imagine from that perspective. And it took me having to go down a deep, deep, dark rabbit hole. And I had to begin to sit with my demons. And then I had to start to check my demons because I realized the demons was the negative things that I would not let go. Because for one, I wanted to be a victim. And now if you have a victim mindset in that moment, and then this is what I mean by that. In our life, we play three roles, and we can actually play four roles in our life as we begin to develop. But we play three main roles: the victim, the hero, or the villain, right? Those are the three. And it goes in a complete circle, a vicious circle, 360. Now there's another one, and this is the one I chose to become. And you said it. I chose to become the observer. So once I got tired of being a victim, I then turned around and became the villain. Because I told the world, if I got hurt, everybody else got hurt too.
Mm-hmm.
It's no one else's fault what I went through. No one. I can blame, I can point the finger and blame, but there's nobody to blame, right? I can make every excuse in the book. Then I became my own hero because I began to realize, and once I became the hero, I said I just remember, just felt this feeling of deja vu of my life just kept going around in this complete circle, right? This 360, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out why. So I said, you know what? There's something that I'm missing. What it is that I'm missing? So I stepped outside of the circle. I'm watching myself go through this circle. Now I'm observing my life. So I told myself, I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim. Why? Because life never promised me tomorrow. It never promised me that everything that I had and lost was going to be with me. So now I'm no longer a victim. Now I'm the villain. I have to confront that part. And I said, why am I the villain? Oh, because hurt people hurt people. Well, we need to get rid of that. Why are you hurting? Because I'm missing. I'm missing. And I want somebody to feel my pain. I need someone to see my pain. And so the observer said, I see you, Tony. It was me telling myself, I see you. What you're feeling is totally normal. But I do see everything that you're doing. So now, instead of being going back into the hero in my life, I turned to the observer and I became friends with the observer. And after a while, we became one. And that's where my growth into mind, body, spirit became one. And then I began to look at the world in a different way. There's more to it. So what I'm putting out is coming back. Okay, what does that mean? The conscious mind is taking everything, every thought that I have into the universe and is bringing me back what I'm thinking. Unconsciously, I'm not aware of this, but now I'm connecting the two. So I become more aware. Change your thoughts. What you're getting is what you're putting out. But let's put something else out there, right? So now I'm connecting there. And then I began to talk to this wonderful lady, and she began to teach me about the unconscious mind. Where the conscious mind stops, the unconscious mind takes off. So how far does the conscious mind go? As far as you need it to go. But then from there, there's another realm that you can get into in the unconscious mind. You just have to know how to connect the two and understand how they both operate together, right? So you can use the conscious mind to get to where you need to be to, but take your unconscious mind and let it go further than anything that you, because the universe is very vast, right? The world is very vast. But let's see where it goes. So that's just my perception and my observation going through the journey that I've had to go through. Now I could be wrong or I could be right. In my world, there's no right or wrong way to do it, right?
Right. It's a journey, right? It's a freaking journey.
Yeah, it's a journey.
And I love it. I love how you describe it, man. And the depths of your experiences, I mean, I honor you for going through what you've gone through and what you've become, my friend, because a lot of people make other choices, right?
Yes.
And you're helping a lot of other people make better choices or more empowered choices that's going to result in better lives for them and for others, right? Ultimately.
And you are too. Look at the work that you're doing. You're helping people change their whole mindset, man. So I see that. And honestly, I am inspired, right? Because I listen to the way that, and I listen to the way you talk. I listen to your voice. I can feel the energy, the positive energy coming off of you. And like, don't take away from your story, man. You've gone through your go through in order to become Dwight, who you are today. And to me, it humbles me, right? And I bow down gracefully and say thank you for the work that you're doing because it's such an inspiration, right? And you're still doing it. You're still doing it, right? So again, I bow down gracefully, man, and say thank you for the work that you're doing as well.
I want to make sure you received it too, brother, because I'm sending it your way as well.
I definitely appreciate that, brother.
So I receive, and I'm very grateful. And to build upon what you were saying earlier too, it's like every thought sends energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every emotion is sending energy, and we're all in our own little bubbles, right? In our own thoughts, emotions, feelings, energies, and we're projecting that out. That's why when you were in your deepest, darkest place, right, you were projecting that out into the world, right? And I reached a similar point with my sciatica and all the stuff I was experiencing after my son was far away from me. I came to a realization, literally, I was destroying myself. Because I had
Yes.
always been very positive, because mom was negative, and I learned from that early in life, I'm going to choose to look at the positive side of the coin. Okay.
Right.
And I realized at some point after 2 physical therapists, I was still suffering all the time. And I got to a point where I might not be able to do the things I love to do anymore, because I was very athletic and outgoing and doing that with my little girls and things like that. I said, because I wasn't going to do back surgery. I wasn't going to roll the dice.
Right.
Something in me had that awareness for myself. I'm like, maybe I'm just screwed. But I'm going to stop destroying myself, because I don't like this being this, right?
Right.
And at the same time, somehow I realized that I was going to start a path of forgiveness towards my son's mother. Okay. And if you ask me why I actually healed my sciatica, because I never had surgery, I wasn't taking the drugs. My last physical therapist said, it's amazing that you got better without surgery. Okay. And the answer is the forgiveness and the emotions, because now I'm very good at helping people relieve low back pain and sciatica, because it's the feelings of helpless and hopeless and powerless and that victimness. That's behind low back pain. It's those emotions. We have energy centers here, okay, in the sacral low back area. This is the reason more women have low back pain than men, because they're kind of more often disempowered in our society and other societies around the world. When you start to take back your power, and I did so at the same time, it's like I took responsibility for myself. I stopped feeling sorry for myself.
Right.
And I said, I'm not going to stop feeling all this negative crap. I'm going to start forgiving my ex. Okay. And ultimately, after I first met my son when he was about 13 months old, I had traveled to Florida because they had moved from Arizona to Florida. I eventually found out. I wound up getting back together with his mom for a while, long distance. And because of that, I've always had a relationship with my son since that time.
Right.
So, and I really did forgive her, and my body healed, and I've let go of all that stuff. So it was really, like, I call it a journey, right? You've had your unique experience. We all have our unique experiences, right? And it's about what we become, right? If you believe in the afterlife or whatever, I've been shown like a lot of stuff outside of this life, so I can't not believe it. And I can see how it flowed into this life, right? It's all very beautiful and very perfect in a way that we usually don't grasp, right? But it's about who we become.
Yes.
And when you start having the perspective, what is this teaching me, and questioning everything, right? You're on the journey. You've taken your power, and you're going to blossom into something freaking amazing and beautiful, right? It's just a matter of time. And all you have to do is keep going.
Yes.
I guess that's the other message, right, for our listeners is no matter how bad it sucks, right? Whatever you're going through, someone like Tony has been through all his BS, and he's made it to the other side. So all you have to do is keep going. And there's choices we make along the way, but just keep going.
Yes.
And anything is possible, right?
Yes. I love that. Now, you are an author as well. Let's talk about your book.
The most recent book is The Formula for Lasting Happiness. Okay. This is one I wasn't planning on writing another book, but I woke up one morning and I said, "Oh, you want me to write this book?" I felt like it was a yes. So 5 months later, I released the book. Okay, so the formula for lasting happiness, as you can tell by our conversation, I don't write the typical books like mental, like do things you like, positive affirmations, right?
Right. Yeah.
So step one is connect with your heart.
Mm.
And I tell people this is the one thing to master, because as we talked about before, this, when you have a negative experience or you screw up or your grief or your trauma, or whatever, it could be a simple mistake. You do something stupid or whatever. This wants to drag you through it over and over and over and over again. Just put your face down in the mud and drag you through the mud. Okay.
Right.
This loves that. This loves to compare you to other people, right? Say, oh, they're better than you, or oh, they're worse than you, or to expectations, or you're not good enough, right? That maybe, and most of us had experiences when we were young, our parents expected us to be perfect, or when we screwed up, we got busted, right?
Yes. Yes.
I got whipped, like big time whipped. It's part of my early trauma type stuff. So that's why we have anxiety, right? We're afraid to make mistakes. We have this fear that was kind of ingrained in our early experiences. But a lot of this is here. And when you can learn to connect to here, what is here, my brother? This is love. This is passion. This is compassion. This is joy. This is happiness. I'm not going to think myself happy. And if I think I'm skinny, I'm doing the average person who's not skinny. If they keep thinking I'm skinny, I'm skinny, I'm skinny, the mind keeps saying, nope, 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 nope. But if you're here and you're like, why do I lose a pound every week so easily now? This can't answer that question. Now I'm circumventing this. And when you feel it, like I teach people, when you envision what you want to be or who you want to become, I may take someone, let's take someone who's in their despair or their rough time right now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can imagine 2 years from now, let's say you get your empowerment back, you find your happiness, you start seeing the positive steps and learning your lessons and embracing life and moving forward. Like 2 years from now, can you imagine where you're going to be? Like you can be like Tony, right? You can be, wow, I'm not attached. I can see the beauty in things. No matter what happens, I'm good. And this is an incredibly powerful, peaceful, beautiful place to be. So I can say, okay, this version of you now, I want you to feel what it's like to be him. And you can say, okay, well, what changes can I make right now? What choices can I make right now to be that version of him right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, this is empowering thoughts. And I want you to feel it, because this is where motivation and fire comes to make changes in our lives, right? Some of us, like my experience, I really had to suffer and I had to hit my lowest of lows, right? Sometimes this is, life's tried to get our attention before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, Dwight's not getting it. Whack. Just dropped me to my knees, right? Because my dad was also dying of cancer at the same time and other stuff. Like I was really at the low of my lows, right? And then I had the mental, emotional, and physical suffering. I had it all, okay? But at some point, I made a decision. I took back my power and I made a decision to start taking steps forward in a new direction. And I began to see things differently, right? And when you see things differently, everything changes.
Very true.
There's that quote, like when you start to see things in your life differently, the things in your life change.
Yes.
Right? And again, It is as it is. It's just how are you choosing to view it, right?
Right. Right.
Or
Well,
observe it.
people often make the mistake of this misquote. They often say, "You only live once," right? Which is very, very false. You live every day. You die once. And if you're lucky within this life, you will be able to live a good life, right? And what I mean by that, the good life is a person's own perspective. But to me, a good life is meeting good people, sharing my knowledge, speaking life into someone else, speaking love over someone, right? It either verbally or you know what I'm saying silently. I always speak like I have no ill will towards anyone, no matter what they may think or how they may feel about me. I have no ill will towards anyone. If you feel that you would like to try to mistreat me, you got to remember I will only allow you to do it so much, but the control is always mine, right? I can choose to be in that situation or I can choose not to. If you're lucky enough in this life, you will have the best human experience that you possibly can have in its entirety. In its entirety. And like you said, brain function, right? We only use, from what they say, 5% of our brain. What if you took the necessary steps to try to unlock the rest of it, right? What would you become? Are you curious enough to find out? Are you brave enough to make the sacrifices that you need to make in order to achieve that level of unconsciousness and bringing that positive energy? So not only like you did, Dwight, heal yourself from a simple thing, forgiveness. And you didn't do it for her, you did it for yourself, right? And your body said, "Oh, that is what we needed. That is exactly what we needed in order to release this out of the body," right? And then your body said, "All right, now that we got that out the way, let's go shake a tail feather," right? You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. We got to get our groove on from time to time, right? But what if you can dance with life in a way to where it's never ending, right? But always constantly um, going with the flow of the universe in the mind, connected. Are you willing to detach yourself and accept what you're receiving? For me, and I could be wrong, but this is just what works for me, right? I honestly believe that. I believe that, So it's for me that is it's part of the process that Tony has to go through. Yeah, part of the process. Oh my God. Well, Mike, thank you for coming on, man, and sharing your story, your knowledge. It's been beautiful, man. Very informative. Thank you so much for being on the show today. And I always ask my guests this before, as we begin to wrap up. If you had anything to leave the audience today, what would you leave them with?
Well, first of all, I want to express my gratitude for you, Tony, too. I just want everyone to know that you are truly so much more powerful than you could ever imagine. There's that old quote, right? That we fear how powerful we really are, which I don't know if we really fear it. The issue is we've been using our power in a negative way, our thoughts, our emotions, and we're so hard on ourselves, right?
Yes, yes.
When you learn to be in your heart and start, like, you're in a place where you can love and accept people.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with loving and accepting ourselves, right?
That's very true.
And once you can face yourself, okay, I screwed this up, I own it, and I'm going to forgive myself because I don't know anyone who's perfect.
Right.
So why do I expect me to be perfect? Maybe my parents expected me to be perfect. Well, screw them. They weren't perfect either. And I'm like, oh my God, I was taking advice from those people. I mean, my parents, when I was born, dad was 17 and mom was 18. So I like to joke, I was raised by hick children in Kansas. Okay.
All right, all right.
So God bless them. I mean, they did the best they could. But getting back to the message, when you can harness your thoughts and take them from the negative to the positive, and you can harness all the energy from the negative feelings and emotions and the judgments and the bullshit and put it into the positive towards you. You can learn to love and accept yourself. And you see your own flaws, you point them out to yourself all the time. Right? When you can accept yourself and your own flaws, now all of a sudden, how could I judge you, Tony? I have accepted me and all my flaws. How could I possibly judge you? Okay.
Right.
So to me, it begins with harnessing our thoughts and our energies and emotions for ourselves and learning to love ourselves. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of this is choosing to love myself. Okay. And letting all the other stuff go. The thought patterns, the emotions, the mistakes I've made, the things I regret. You can literally, I talked earlier how it's all old energy, old flavors.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally choose to love yourself and let it all go. We did that release with giving energy a shape and it released. You can truly let it all go like that if you're really ready to. You just need to set the intention and make a decision. Okay.
Yeah.
This is how powerful you are. So I want people to realize and begin to realize how powerful you are. And that everything truly is possible. And you can see it in Tony and myself to some degree, right? Life here can really suck. Okay. But you don't have to live your whole life in that suck. You can say, okay, I've been there, done that. I've learned all I want to learn about suck. And I'm going to start to see and view life and live life and play the game by my rules.
Right. I love that. I love that. And where can people find you?
My website is the best. It's just my full name, dwightdalemiller.com. It's the same on Instagram and email. But everything about me is on my website. If you want to book some time with me for coaching or one of my group programs or a healing session, that's all on the website.
All right. I know I'm really enjoying the comment section over here. Very interesting.
I mean, you and we could talk like all the time, man. We could just go.
Man. We're
man.
going to do it again. We're definitely going to do it again, right? You know what I'm saying? And after we get off the air, I'm gonna run this by you. Tell me what you think, and yeah, we got a lot more to talk about. You know,
Yep.
Dwight, though, thank you for being on today. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for sharing your story with us. For those who are tuning in or who have tuned in, thank you for the comments over here. Very entertaining. Love hearing your perspective on things. And for those who will be tuning in later or tuning in right now, if you haven't already, go over to the YouTube channel. Smash that subscribe button for me. Hit that bell notification so you will be notified every time we drop a new episode. But also, if you enjoy these conversations and many others like we've had before, by all means, leave a comment. And if you know anyone who can benefit from these conversations that we are having, please share it with them as well. With that being said, I'm going to bid you guys a great night. Dwight, again, thank you for being on the show. And until next time, you guys remember, choose positive over negative. Choose to be a force to be reckoned with in this world and have an impact on other people's lives, because people always remember the way that the way you make them feel. So make them feel good, make them feel appreciated, and make them feel loved. Till next time, you guys have a great night. Peace.